side, ref! Welcome back to In From The Side. We are continuing our series of picking our Mount Rushmore of rugby players position by position. We're looking forward to another great show. With me, my co-host, the man with a plan, Matthew Rhodes. How are you doing, bud?
Yeah, very good, bud. How are you?
Yeah, good to see you.
Thanks, bud. Good to be seen.
Yeah, I like it. How was your weekend?
My weekend, as you well know, was very intense. We had a braai here at Werner's place. Werner and I, tong masters around the braai, singeing all our hairs, making some amazing food, and then washing it all down with copious amounts of brandy and coke.
Yeah, which we are continuing today.
Wow. I've pulled back and I've gone onto a light
You've gone
one.
soft. You've gone soft. We got a lot of great feedback last week. Lots of debate, as these videos always go, but I love it. People will never agree with these lists. But the idea of picking a Mount Rushmore, as we say every single week, is if you have to go position by position in a rugby team, who are those faces that you would carve on the side of a mountain to be remembered forever? And it could be for whatever reason. You can look at it from a stats point of view, or just who were your childhood heroes growing up. And I'm sure our lists are going to look very different.
Yeah, Tim, one of our long-time listeners, first-time callers, friends, he made a comment that for you, this series is a bit like a walk down nostalgia, walk down memory lane. You've brought up some names of individuals that really were your kind of boyhood heroes. And there's been quite a few comments, I think, from the other people who've been watching, who've really appreciated that kind of lens being put on some people that were forgotten from maybe yesteryear. Maybe not maybe forgotten, but nice to have them have a bit of light shone on them.
Yeah, again, we're opening this up to all eras, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why this banter between you and me is quite valuable, because I will come with that, sort of that older lens from the amateur era. Let's just get into it, buddy.
Yeah, straight up.
Who's your first face? We're doing left wings today,
Left wings.
by the way.
So
we did right wings last week.
We did right wings last week. That was a bit of a struggle for me, I'll be honest, because hard to identify or differentiate between who was playing right or who's playing left. Doing the research, you go and look into it, especially if you're going back into when we've opened this up to all eras. It's hard to use the tools around you if you're not the oracle like you are, where Wikipedia or any other just says wing. It doesn't say left wing or right wing, it just says wing. So for me, last week I struggled, but I think this week I found it easier going because there's a few standout names for me. And first person on my list on the Mount Rushmore is the big man, Jonah Lomu. So Jonah for me, and the criteria that I used to sort of define who's on my Mount Rushmore is those players that every time that they get the ball, something stirs within me. Like it's passion, it's excitement, it's feverish emotion to see them with the ball in hand, because you know something's going to happen. And I think no one in World Rugby has ever emulated that more than Jonah Lomu.
I totally agree, and he's the first name on my list as well. I'm not necessarily saying Jonah was the best left wing. Like, he had some chinks in his game, right?
Yeah.
He defensively wasn't maybe the strongest, but on attack, mate, he just revolutionized that position. He was the first big,
Strong.
a guy built like a forward that could run like a wing, and it's impossible to just stop that size of a human at pace.
Imagine,
and Mike Cat is proof, right?
Imagine Taniela Tupou on the wing coming at you.
Exactly.
It's the same.
He's got speed.
I know
He
he's
could play
got.
wing.
I know he's got pace, and take nothing away from him, but it's like that kind of level of tank, front forward player who all of a sudden has the gas of an Olympic sprinter out wide, coming at you like a train. And for me, bar none, there is no one who created so much hype in rugby. I remember being sort of 1995, well, coming into 11, 12 years old, maybe even just about to turn 13, and all my school friends who weren't as passionate about rugby as I was, who didn't love the game and were not feverish about every rugby game that was playing, were all of a sudden like captivated by Jonah. He took a captivated audience from people who were non-rugby enthusiasts and brought them to the fore. And it shone a light, I think, on World Rugby, especially in that 1995 World Cup, because of all the hype, because of all the sort of the Rainbow Nation now being able to play. There was all that associated with it. The movies that have happened since shot Matt Damon, like there's he just had a grip on the game from a spectator's perspective that I've never seen anyone else have.
And I think that's why he belongs on this mountain, right? His impact on the game off the field, not just what he did on the field. Everyone knows how brilliant he was on attack and what a fantastic player he was. He actually had more to his skill set than people remember. He wasn't just a bulldozing runner. He could run around guys. He could chip and chase. He had the full arsenal. I think it was just on defense he was maybe caught out once or twice when you turn him around with kicking. But his impact off the field, like the profile he gave to rugby. Rugby was an amateur game. And he came on the scene right at the time when rugby turned pro officially.
Yeah.
It opened doors. There was TV deals like Rupert Murdoch and these guys got involved, and there was a big fight for rugby. And there's a very famous story where Rupert Murdoch was watching just some highlights, and he literally picked up the phone and he was planning to launch Super League, which was a rugby league competition in Australia. And he saw Jonah Lomu and he just picked up the phone to one of his agents and said, "Who's that big fella? Get him. I want him."
Yeah.
So he was the first guy that sort of attracted a lot of money to rugby union. Obviously, it worked out in the end, and the guy stayed, and everyone turned pro. And Jonah was such a big catalyst. But people underestimate the influence he had on rugby turning pro and actually getting that money pumped into the game. Which off the back we had the Tri Nations, we had Super Rugby, the Heineken Cup got launched in the Northern Hemisphere. Like there was so many things. And it wasn't just down to him, but I think he had a massive big part to play because he was the Tiger Woods, the Michael Jordan of rugby in that era 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Struggled through some health conditions. Obviously, he had kidney problems and was in dialysis quite a lot, but he could have scored a lot more tries. And I'm saying it now, Matt. If the first South African that comments in the comment section, "Oh, but Jonah never scored against the Springboks," honestly, your comments will be blocked because it's the most stupid argument I've ever heard. He also hasn't scored a try against Wales or Fiji. So it's like the most pointless stat. He attracted so much attention to him when he carried the ball that it opened up all the space for Cullen and Wilson and Umaga and these guys. They scored all the tries. So Jonah was special, mate.
That being said, though, 37 tries, 63 appearances. I mean, it's a good return at international level.
Yeah, it's good.
So
scores a try every 2 tests.
Yeah. So, I think it's 0.59, 0.6 that he scores a try. So, like you say, it's more than it's every second game he's dotting over. But again, they're just so much. The word I think you hit the nail on the head there was influence.
Yeah.
Like his performances influenced how our game was catapulted into sort of the new professional era, like you say. And I think loads and loads of individuals, players, teams now could be thankful for the influence that he had because, again, he really put it front and center on the domestic, not on the international sort of media stage. So for sure, he had to be my number one pick.
Yeah, no, he's up there, right? First name, I didn't even think about it. That was the easy one.
Yeah.
Okay, Jonah Lomu on the Mount Rushmore for both of us.
Who'd you go next?
I had to put a South African in there, but there were a lot of names, and I'm going to run through all the names, just South African wings. Like if you go back to the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, there were guys like Tom van Vollenhoven who played, a handful of tests for South Africa, but scored a hat-trick against the British Lions in 55. He came north, played...
Can I just say, I'm glad that you said his name and not me, because I would have chewed through that so badly.
I'm being a bit of a dick, and I'm using this as an opportunity to educate you a little bit, Matt. But Tom van Vollenhoven came north. He played for St. Helens Rugby League, and he went down as... there's a song written about him at St. Helens. They still sing his name at the club. Gerd Miller, who played in the 1970 series against the All Blacks. Now, if you ask my dad, he'll say, put Miller on this list, because he was that good. Big, strong wing as well. Karel du Plessis is the one that I think a lot of South Africans is going to give me stick for not having on this list, because he was known as the Prince of Wings, together with Ray Moore, Donnie Gerber in the 80s, just tore up defenses. Western Province legend. didn't, get the opportunity to play for South Africa that much. But with all that, I had to pick a South African. It's got to be Bryan Habana.
Nice.
Habs is just the greatest wing, for me, the greatest left wing that's always played the game. That's ever played the game. Scored, again, tries. We speak about this often. Like, Cullen scored tries no one else would score. I made the same comment about Ray Moore. Habana's there. Like, tries he scored. There was a try he scored for the Bulls against the Blues in 2005 that he caught from the kickoff, ran down the touchline, chipped it, scored in the corner, like, without anyone touching him. Famous try in the 2007 Super Rugby final against the Sharks, Matt. Remember when we beat you at Kings Park?
Such a dick.
That was one of his best tries.
It's one of my worst moments. And do you know what? The media shows it so often where he cuts back in, and I remember just screaming because we just had to hold on. We had the win. It was past time. And he just, that vision of him diving over the line to score.
I was there, mate. So it's etched in my memory. And don't worry, if the media doesn't show it, I will remind
show it
you.
enough.
I will remind you.
Yeah.
No, but also for the Springboks, like that try he scored against the Lions in 2009. The tries he scored against England in 2007 before the World Cup. He scored some pearlers. The double he scored against Australia in 2005 in Perth when we beat them for the first time there. So since 98. So just so many memories. 60, you're the stats man. 67 tries and 124.
67 tries and 124 tests, 340 points, I think. He's second on the all-time tries scored list.
He should be number one because the guy who's at the top of the list scored against the blind school.
Yeah, well, again, he's Japanese. When you look at it's a great point. You look at the opposition that he would have come up against versus Bryan Habana has come up against, and Bryan's the second name on my list. He had to be.
Nice.
He had to be. So I agree with everything you said. 67 tries, man. It's just we talk about wingers and their finishing capability, and there is no denying his finishing was off the Richter.
Next level.
Next level. Second all time, as I say, behind
Daisuke Ohata.
Daisuke Ohata. Again, another name that you got to try and chew through, but Bryan's tries come up against the best opposition in the world. Again, pound for pound, he's the best without a doubt. And like you say, some of those tries that he scored are, if you're an opposition fan in any description, whether you're an international opposition or provincial, he's cut deep often.
Yeah, mate. No, and the types, again, he finds space when often you thought, the defenses have lined up, they're squared up, and he will just jinx underneath a tackle and before you know it, he's gone. I've only ever seen him beaten once. It was when Ngwenya scored for the US against us in the 07 World Cup.
Yeah.
Apart from that, no one will get close to Bryan Habana.
So there's that try that stands out, little inside-outside shimmy went round, like the pace on Ngwenya was unbelievable. Bryan Habana's pace was just next level as well. Next level.
And quick off the mark as well.
There's only one person I've ever seen catch him from behind, and that was Beauden Barrett.
Yeah, Bodie was really quick on his day.
In his early days.
Yeah,
so Bryan Habana, I think they were in the Ascendancy New Zealand. They were camped on our line, about to go over, and Bryan intercepted. He was great at intercepting. He had a few tries where he intercepts. He intercepts, and immediately I go, it's a try. No one's going to catch him. And he's got a 10-yard because Bodie's got to turn around because he's got to turn around and chase him down, and he caught him just before the line. Like, I've never seen anyone else do that. But take nothing away from Bryan. He is definitely up on our list up on our mountain because pound for pound he's the best in the world.
I always think about great Springboks, and it's like, I think about this a lot. What makes a good Springbok, or what makes a great Springbok? A lot of guys were good Springboks, but for me, a great Springbok is someone that it's not just about what he achieved on the field, but how he conducts himself off the field. And the one thing that I just continuously love listening to Habana is how he conducts himself. He's the nicest guy. There's never any issues with him. He's never in the media for the wrong reasons. He's a family man, like proud Springbok. Like the way he conducts himself, he's an absolute legend of the game and an ambassador for HSBC and all of these different sort of companies. Like, he's someone that people look up to, and I think to this day he's a hero for young kids that didn't even get to see him play.
But you also hear about the way that he talks during games. He's a rugby commentator, pundit now. He's on TV quite a lot. And always giving really good, clear, fair assessment as well. So, you know, he's a rugby brain. He had super talent. He had all the fitness and physique, you know, all the pace for the dynamic winger that he has. But he was a thinking man in a rugby sense as well. So, and that translates to after what he's done. So I completely agree, mate. You won't get any pushback from me.
I did an updated tribute to Bryan Habana a while back.
Put the link in.
It's an hour and a half of try scoring blissfulness. It was the most fun I ever had cutting a video, honestly, just watching all his highlights from under 21 days at the Lions all the way through to when he retired. So go and have a look. I'll post the link in the description. So
nice.
Lomu and Habana, the two top try scorers in Rugby World Cup history, oddly enough, both with 15 tries, so it makes sense to have them up there. Who's your number 3 on Mount Rushmore?
Yeah, those first two were easy picks for me. I mean, I didn't really have to do much thinking. They were the ones that went straight up there. The next two, again, heaps and heaps of people to kind of consider. And in terms of the framework of what I'm using, it's the ones which every time they got the ball, like, I was feverishly excited. And one of those for me is Shane Williams. So Shane Williams, 60 tries, 91 caps, 300 points. He's got a return of 0.66. So that's, again, in terms of...
Two tries every 3 tests.
It's not bad. Lomu was 0.59, Bryan Habana 0.54, your man Shane Williams 0.66. I mean, again, the tries that he scored and like you just knew every time he got the ball something was going to happen. And for me, that is just etched in my memory. And also 4th on the all-time highest list. So he had 58 tries for Wales and 2 for the British and Irish Lions. He's just amazing.
No, he's an absolute legend, and I'm so glad that you picked Shane Williams because it'll keep the Welsh fans off our back a little bit. I saw with the right wing video we did, everyone was like, Shane Williams, Shane Williams. I didn't pick him, so I'm really glad you did so that he gets a mention. But he was just brilliant. Little magician.
Yeah.
Again, like Habana, if you give him space, you do that at your own peril, mate, because he will, in a one-on-one situation, he will beat you. Famously, he didn't really get along with Steve Hansen when he was Wales coach before he went on to coach with Graham Henry at the All Blacks, but sort of came back into the Wales team in 2003, and from there just really made the jersey his own.
Cemented it, yeah.
Yeah, World Rugby Player of the Year in 2008. Absolute legend. Can't fault you there, yeah.
Yeah, and again, come back to the point. I mean, take nothing away. 60 tries is just...
It's insane.
It's insane.
At test level.
At test level, the finishing ability to be able... And again, Wales played some amazing opposition through that period as well. So he's not scoring against minnows. He's scoring against top opposition, both for Wales and for the Lions. You know, to dot down for the Lions as well, it's a great achievement. He just, again, we talk about, I don't know the man, don't know about him outside of rugby since, but in a similar way that we described Bryan Habana, Shane Williams just looks wholesome.
Good guy.
There's good guy, no stories in the media, and again, we might be told otherwise, but I haven't ever read anything. No dramas, no big furore, just an out-and-out bloke who played rugby, did it to the best of his ability, little magician on the wing, and scores. So for me, he had to be up on my mountain.
I think you ask 9 out of 10 Welsh rugby fans, and they'll pick Gerald Davis, Shane Williams. That's their wings. All-time greatest, so I think you made a couple of people happy.
Nice.
I did not pick Shane Williams. I was on my shortlist, and I highlighted him here, but I had to go a little bit old school, like I did with Ray Mort last week. So I picked a guy that I never saw play because it was before my era, but my dad told me a lot about him, and then again all the videos and stuff that I have, I've seen a lot of footage of him, read a lot of books about him, but it's got to be Bryan Williams. BG Williams in the 70s, he toured South Africa in 1970 as a 19-year-old, played on the left wing, and he had a similar impact like Lomu had in 1995 on South African crowds. Bryan Williams had on South African crowds. Like, he was not as big, he was probably a little bit quicker, but physical as well. He was just an amazing talent, could step off both feet, played left and right wing, so I really could have picked him on either side. Later became president of Blues Rugby, I think, but also president of New Zealand Rugby. Proud Samoan heritage. And again, just from what I've seen, some of the older footage, toured South Africa twice, made a big impression on the crowds. And I think a lot of folks, I'd love to hear what your mates in New Zealand say about this pick. I think a lot of folks in New Zealand will be pleased that he's on my Mount Rushmore. But for me, Bryan Williams, one of the all-time greatest wings that's played. So I had to get him up there.
Mate, I'll have to go and watch some of the footage because I don't have as much sort of deep knowledge of him. But you've given me inspiration. Maybe me and a few others. We're going to go and investigate his reels of all his antics and his finishing.
Well, just watch this video tomorrow, mate.
Tell me
because
about
I'll have some highlights in there.
The last one for me was tricky, and I'll tell you for why. There were a number of names that I was kind of going backwards and forwards. I think there's a few special mentions that need to happen. In particular for me, one guy that I don't think gets enough credit is Makazole Mapimpi. Mm-hmm. So 32 tries, 46 appearances, 9th all-time in terms of tries to game ratio. So he's at 0.7. So that's...
unbelievable strike rate.
That's like unbelievable.
He's great.
Yeah. So almost a try a game every time. A bit like Will Jordan in that sense, where in the last few years, every time Makazola's been on the field for me, I'm like, we're getting try, right? And again, it's also the players that he plays alongside and the positions that they put him into, but he's still got to duck down, and he does that exceptionally well. So for me, he was in my considerations and he was up there. Then a couple of the New Zealand boys, Julian Savia.
Oh, man.
Unbelievable.
He's on my shortlist.
He was on the left mainly. He also played right and played centre. But again, 46 tries, 54 appearances, 230 points at
the bus
at a 0.85 ratio of like that's almost one a game.
You almost think like, what happened to him?
Yeah.
Like, why did he not play 100 tests? You know, I know New Zealand's got this conveyor belt of wings that they just roll out, but geez, in his prime, he was unstoppable.
Yeah. And
unbelievable.
And similar, Rico Ioane, again on the left, played some at right, but also most recently he's played centre. 37 tries, 81 appearances. Like, he seems to have gone off a bit over the last couple of years. But initially when he came on, he was just scoring tries for fun. And then for me, I couldn't look far beyond the Fijian boys. And I wanted to kind of just spend a moment. I wanted to talk a little bit about them. So, Sidiveni Sivivatu, obviously Fijian born, played for the All Blacks, 33 tries, 48 appearances, 0.69 ratio return, 29 New Zealand caps, 4 Pacific Islander caps. Again, unbelievable. Rupeni Kaukau, again, generally regarded by a lot of journalists and international players as one of the greatest attacking players in world rugby. His speed, weight, strength, his low center of gravity, he scored some fantastic tries. And so, for me, like, again, hard to leave him out. And then
Can I quickly interject, Matt? Just need to show Thao some love.
Yeah.
Right? I had him. I had him on my mountain. And then I just looked at it. I'm like, he only played 8 tests.
I know.
But there's a try that he scored against France in 2003 at that World Cup, mate. I challenge you to find a better try scored by wing. Honestly, he ran around Rougerie like he wasn't even on the field. And
Rougerie was in my list as well.
It is. Look at this. I've got goosebumps just thinking about that try. Like, Thao was sublime. So I just needed to show him a bit of love.
No, and this is why I'm sort of putting a light on him. He was just, again, internationally only playing for a few years and only had a few caps, but the impact, we talk about the impact and the influence, the impact that he had, and again, to be regarded by many as like one of the best, most attacking wingers out there, scary talent.
Can you imagine what could have been if he had chosen to play for the All Blacks, which he was eligible for, and I don't know what his off-field issues were, but actually like focus on staying fit, you know, practicing, taking the game really serious, which a lot of people say, right, you just played for fun. Like, if he really made a profession out of this and played for the All Blacks, dude, scary. That would have been scary.
Mate, he was scary. Joeli Vidiri was scary. Yeah. Like, I used to love watching Joeli Vidiri.
He was awesome.
Mate, 7 caps for Fiji, 2 for New Zealand. Again, another career cut short by illness, another kidney illness as well. 43 tries in 61 games in the Super 12. In 2001, he scored 4 tries against the Bulls. Don't know if you remember that. But like how you bring in the Bryan Habana
Bulls were shit in 2001, mate. I've blocked that out of my memory.
But mate, like so many. Namani Ndolo.
Ndolo was amazing.
Sammy Radradra. Like the wing conveyor belt out of the Fiji. Unbelievable. Unfortunately, none of which are going up. Cao was actually on my list. Like he was on the mountain.
I had him.
Again.
I just thought, he only really played a handful of tests, 1 World Cup. But he has, lasting impact. Sorry, who's your final?
So again, I had all of those boys to consider, but there was one name that I couldn't leave off, and that's Jason Robinson. So Robbo, 30 tries, 56 appearances for England, 150 points, 0.54 return. He had 28 for England, 2 for the British and Irish Lions. Again, coming back to that framework around every time he got the ball in his hands, I was sitting on the edge of my seat. And not just me, but like I'm getting tingles thinking about it now. Just the whole he captivated an audience when he came onto the scene, and whether it was at fullback or at wing, he was just dynamic and outstanding. And so for me, when I had all those other names that I was considering, and I put them against Robbo had it for me.
So you remember before the show, I said, I think we're going to pick 3 out of the 4 players. And I was spot on because I also picked Jason Robinson.
Fair.
I traded, for me, the 4th one was really difficult because I couldn't really pick between Thao, Carl du Plessis, Jason Robinson. But just, again, thinking about what those players did on the international stage, I think Robbo did make a little bit more of an impact for me. Carl du Plessis is a really difficult one because he's a personal favourite. And he was sublime in the 80s. But if I think about Jason Robinson, I think that first test try against Australia for the Lions, where he just blitzed Latham on the outside, and then obviously the try in the World Cup final, which he finished beautifully. But he's so dynamic, so quick, was great at fullback. I think he was better at wing. That was his best position. I did like him on left wing with Ben Cohen on the right.
And Ben Cohen was in my considerations there.
Yeah, he also played left and right. So, he could have made this list. I had Ben Cohen on my list as well. But
Ben Cohen, 31 tries, 57 appearances, a higher return, 0.54. But for me, again, I had both of them in my mind. And when it came down to it, because I loved watching Ben Cohen. Ben Cohen reminded me, and I said this before, a lot of Dean Hall.
Yeah.
So Dean Hall, big, strong on
left
the
wings,
and again, Dean Hall was one of the guys that I had from a South African perspective. Dean Hall, Damien Willemse, Peter Rousseau, Chester Williams, amazing talents. On the Aussie side, people like Joe Roff, 30 tries, 86 appearances. Lottie Takiri, 30 tries, 67 appearances. Drew Mitchell, 34 tries. Adam Ashley Cooper, 39 tries, but Mr. Versatile, he could play everywhere. So while he played on the wing quite often, didn't really feature on the Mount Rushmore. And then Matty Giteau, Israel Folau, amazing wingers. But again, I don't think they matched up. And then on the England side, I had Rory Underwood at one stage, 50 tries, 91 appearances. I mean, a great return. Ben Cohen, Johnny May, Josh Lucy, the list goes on. France, Damien Penaud, Vincent Clerc, Philippe Saint-André as well. I was thinking, a great player. Aurélien Rougerie, who you mentioned, Cedric Haymans, all of these players that... Do you know what really interested me? Scotland. So Darcy Graham, 30 tries, 46 appearances, 0.65 return. Duan, 33 tries and 53.62.
I had Duan on my list, mate. It's I know he's still in the middle of his career, but he's up there. He's part of the conversation at least.
But return on investment in terms of tries against games, they had a better try return ratio than all 4 of the guys that I put up on my, except for Shane Williams, who was 0.66.
Yeah.
So some outstanding wings. But for me, at the end of the day, none of them. I watch Darcy now. When he gets the ball, I don't feel the same as I did when I watched Jason Robinson.
No, and I think that's what this list is about. We can ramble on about stats and things like that and try and quantify it. And I think firstly, comparing players from different eras is not on. You can't really do that. So you really have to go on what you said. What invokes that emotion? What makes you sit up? What makes you smile? What makes you talk to your mates and say, did you see this player play? So that's why I went Jason Robinson as well. Some other names that you might have not mentioned from the older eras. There was a guy that played for Argentina, Martin Terran. He was really great in the early 90s. JJ Williams, Welsh legend, played for the British Lions on those 2 successful tours in 71 and 74. Scored a ton of tries against South Africa in 74. Like, he was probably the best wing on that tour. Bob Loubser was part of Paul Roos's 1906 team. Didn't see him play personally, but I read a book about him and he was amazing. Keith Earls I had up there, Centurion for Ireland.
So
I think he's worth a mention.
I had a look at Tommy Bowe. I had a look at Keith Earls as well for Ireland.
Good players, not at that level though.
But again, I think the 4 that both of us have gone with, obviously one from your side, I don't know enough about. I'll have to go and do some investigations. But just talking personally, the 4 that I know, they are champions, they're legends in their own right.
Yeah.
And in their own countries. Jason Robertson is a legend here. Shane Williams, as you mentioned, in Wales.
Yeah.
Jonah's Jonah. Bryan is Bryan. So
no, absolutely. So just a couple of other names we didn't speak about, Matt. Guys from the older amateur era. Craig Green, who played for the All Blacks in the 87 World Cup. Toured South Africa in 86 with the Cavaliers. He made a big impression on me as a young guy. Patrice Lagisquet, who played for France in the 80s. He was really good. And then 2 guys. Tony O'Reilly, who played left wing for the Lions and for Ireland. He toured the British Lions in 1955 as a 19-year-old. And I think he still holds the try-scoring record for most tries on tour in that 55 side. And famously became a very famous businessman. And his company made Kerrygold butter that you get here in the UK. So he recently passed away as well, but an absolute legend of the game. And then another guy, I've got to show you footage of him, David Duckham. He played left wing and centre for England in the 60s and 70s, and he had the most unbelievable step. Like, he had these blonde locks running down the left wing, and he would step this way, go that way, and he beat 9 out of 10 defenders, and he scored some beautiful tries. So I think I might just sneak a little try in this
do it
in this video as well. So
nice.
Yeah, but I'm happy with our Mount Rushmores, mate. 3 out of 4 we agreed on.
Yeah, I mean, again, we talked about it. There were a couple that, or at least one that I didn't know enough about, but you've inspired some thought for me to go and do some investigations. I'm always keen to learn more about who are the greats of yesteryear, and you're bringing those names to the fore, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who are appreciating that those names are getting a bit of light shone on them. So
yeah, absolutely. That's why this channel exists, mate, to sort of remember legends of the past. But we might have missed a couple of names off this list. So who would you have picked on your Mount Rushmore of left wing specifically? So we'd love to hear from you. Leave your comments in the comments section. Before you do that, give us a like, give us a subscribe, click the little notification button at the bottom of the video so that you get notified of all our new videos that we post every single week. Thank you for your time. Follow us on social media. Go to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're on all the social medias, and we'll do this again next week. Matt, we are going to pick outside centers. It's going to be an interesting one. For me, it's 1 plus whoever else. Whoever the other 3 is. It's not really going to matter. I might need to build his own mountain, but we'll get there. We'll get there next week.
Nice. Looking forward to it. These are fun. Looking forward to hearing all the comments and suggestions. Where did we slip up? Who would you have put up there? Let us know.
Yeah, we'll do this again next week. Cheers.